Well, what do we have here? What do we have here? You guys know me by now. I've been known to make some pretty impromptu and bizarre purchases. And yes, it's true. I just bought an ambulance. How funny is this? So why did I buy an ambulance? Well, I mean, primarily because the price was just too good to refuse. And I really need a vehicle to serve me as a tool truck, like a service truck, so that when I go around to various locations where I have equipment, like where, you know, the link belt excavators over clearing a property a couple towns over, and I need to service the excavator or some of the other equipment, it's really a pain to haul tools and whatnot in a trailer or in the back of the truck. I want to have a vehicle that just is dedicated. And this is really quite funny because I was just browsing around on Craigslist and some guy had an ambulance. And I'm a big fan of diesel everything. And I was searching for a particular model of a diesel motor, the Ford 7.3 Power Stroke diesel. And this came up and I could not believe the price. And the price, believe it or not, was so low. I think the engine alone is worth probably twice as much as what I paid for this. I'm not going to tell you what I paid because you're going to think, boy, this guy really stole this thing. Well, I did. It's got an aluminum body. It's got a couple 100,000 miles on it, but of course it was cared for like an ambulance. And so without rambling on too much, I'm going to show you around this thing and give you a little bit of a tour through it, and you'll start to see why I really like it. All right, well, starting with the engine, it's got a Power Stroke turbo diesel 7.3 liter in very good shape. It runs, it turns right over. It's very strong. I've driven it. The thing drives like a Cadillac. And I say that quite literally because I had a Cadillac Seville a number of years ago. I put 6 new tires on it, and it goes very, very well in the winter through the snow and what have you. The cockpit is in very, very nice shape. The interior is great, power everything. This command console here is quite impressive. There's a DVD player, backup camera system in here. And the electrical system in here has been, preserved from when it was an ambulance. After it was an ambulance, it became a propane company's emergency service truck. And so the guy owned it for a short while and sold it to the person from whom I bought it. In this compartment, there's a drawer that contains a bank of batteries which powers the house. They call it the house in boats and RVs and campers and things like that because there are lights and interior accessories that need power when you're not hooked up to shore power or AC power. In this compartment here, I've put my torch set, my oxyacetylene torch set, because when you're on the road dealing with equipment and what have you, it's always handy to have the ability to weld and cut using torches in high heat. So that's what I use this compartment for. This is the side door where you can walk right in. You can see all the diamond plating and the aluminum grating. I mean, there's just so much value here for what I paid for it. Let's put it this way. I paid way, way, way less than $2,000 for it, for the whole thing. So that's about as much as I'm going to tell you about what I paid for it. Fire extinguisher on the inside door. This little compartment here, haven't really found a use for it. I'm sure we will. Here's a compartment that just contains some a myriad of hoses and pipes and things of that nature. It's not really dedicated to anything real quite yet. We're just storing some junk in there. This is the back door, which opens up, and you can store. There's quite a lot of volume in here. There's a real lot of room. This thing's about 8'6" wide, which is the maximum over-the-road width permitted. I don't know if it's a national standard, but it's at least, I know in New Hampshire you can't have anything over the road 8'6" wider than 8'6" without a permit. It's got this little flip-up gate here, and that's kind of cool. Another compartment on the side that I use for combustible fluids and fuels. A couple of 5-gallon tough jugs. These are, by the way, these are the all-time best fuel transport jugs that I've ever used. I use these for diesel. I have like 6 of them, and they are exactly what they're called. They're tough jugs. These things are made really well, and the dispensary spout is really cool. This little snap thing here prevents this from being depressed. These are empty, I believe, or one of them has some fuel in it, and you can tip them right upside down into your excavator, your dozer, or your tractor, or whatever, and the weight of the full canister depresses this this nozzle and fuels you up really fast. It's awesome. I haven't bought any for gasoline yet, but I use this compartment for fuels. I've got, maybe 10, 12 gallons of fuel, of gasoline, some bar and chain oil. A couple of these are 50-to-1 for chainsaws and other two-cycle tools, and of course the diesel. Now I'll move on to this next compartment up here. This is the welding and fabricating department, so to speak, or compartment. Just a welding helmet and some welding rods, brazing rods, some silver solder that I use for higher pressure applications. I've got just a jack, hydraulic jack in there, some other welding stuff, gloves. In here, I've got 50 foot of leads for my my stick welder, my generator welder, which I'm going to show you in a minute. That's in the back of the ambulance. Now all these compartments are lighted too, which is really neat. The fact that there's light everywhere is very convenient. This compartment, we haven't used it for anything yet. You can see when it was an ambulance, it has the oxygen hookup. The only thing we're missing is the oxygen tanks, and frankly, I don't really think I need oxygen tanks beyond an oxyacetylene tank. Here's the little driver's seat, and you can see there's a doorway that passes through to the back of the ambulance. So now I'm going to take you through the interior of the body of the ambulance. All right, going in the side door here, I have an air compressor. And the air compressor, for obvious reasons, is good to have on hand. This is the jump seat for the ambulance, and this is where one of the medical people would ride. I don't really know much about the medical field and how ambulances are run, but I do have someone I want you to meet that knows all about this stuff, and you'll be meeting him soon. This little bench here, I'm sure they used it for preparing different types of medical whatevers, bandages, or I don't know what they do, but it's a bench that I've converted to a little workbench. We've strapped in a grinder, and that works out well. There's another seat over here, and there's a long bench here that has storage underneath one of them. The other one is the wheel well, so there's really no access, but there's storage everywhere. Now there's tons of heat and air conditioning, ductwork. There's storage here. There's a clock there. Stainless steel handrails along the top. And an entire power center here. Dome lights, cot lights, bench lights, O2 light, oxygen valve, suction, green, amber, red, buzzer. Now that would control the sirens. And all the sirens and lights all work perfectly. There is a separate volume control for the stereo system, which is kind of cool. So when you're going from place to place, when there's no patient in the back, you can rock out and do your thing back here. And a separate climate control unit here with air conditioning, heat, temperature control, fan control, and it's all separate to the back here. Now, one thing that's particularly exciting to me is all of the power that's in here. There's a little phone. You can communicate with the guys in the front. All the power that's in here, and that power is provided by a pretty hefty inverter. Oh, excuse me guys, I'm just stepping over all this stuff in here. And that inverter is down in here. It's a Vanner AC power system model 20-1050 C-U-L. I mean, I haven't really looked into this too much. Let's put it this way. I know enough to know that if it's powering all the necessary medical equipment in here, then it's enough power for me for a mobile service truck. So I'm pretty excited about that. Looking out the back door here, you can see there's a lot of width available to us. It's like 42 inches of width. Here above the right passenger seat here in the rear, there's a bunch of storage here. And you can see what I have in here, just for now. I haven't put this thing on the road. It runs great, but it's not registered or ready to roll yet. I've got a 6,500 watt welder generator here. It's a Hobart. It's a Hobart Power Weld 6500. And I'll take you around the other side and you can look at the front control panel of that. This is an older unit. It's pretty old actually, but it's really reliable. It's built like you wouldn't believe. This thing actually fell out of the back. No, it wasn't the back of my truck. That one fell off the back of one of my trailers. It wasn't strapped down properly, and you know, it just got dinged up and dented a little bit. No big deal, but it started right up and welds like crazy. So this is a really cool unit. Nice to have handy because when you're working on equipment, stuff is always breaking. Metal stuff always breaks, and you need a lot of amps to be able to weld this heavy, thick tool steel. It's really important to create really solid welds, and this old girl will do that like crazy. And this here is my 6,500 watt Hyundai HCP 6500D quote commercial generator. It's a diesel, 6,500 watts. I bought this thing on Craigslist like a year and a half ago, somewhere around there. And this generator it was literally brand new when I bought it. It had like 0.8 of an hour on it. It only has 26 hours on it, even now. I used it to build a lot of the off-grid cabin up north. And then it threw a rod, and the engine was just junk, basically. I had to make a decision whether to just scrap this thing or to invest the money in repairing it. And then the fuel pump, which is a mechanical fuel pump, went on it, and it's like just outside of warranty, which is too bad because it's a 3-year warranty, and it was like a month or two out from the manufacture date. So I tried left ways and right ways, and I couldn't get them to cover it. Bottom line is I sunk the money into it, and it runs great again. This thing's brand new, like it, and running like it should. So I'm very happy with this. This is a good source of power for lots of everything. There's between these two units here, the welder generator and the this diesel generator, we've got a lot of power. And here I keep my chainsaw, or one of my chainsaws. I run a steel. I forgot what model it is. It's a pretty big saw, and it's got a 25-inch bar on it. It's a pretty monstrous saw, and it does a lot of work, and it starts up and runs every time. Doesn't matter what the conditions are. I've had Husqvarnas my whole life, and I'll tell you what, I officially am a steel guy. Steel is where it's at. We keep a bunch of wrenches, socket set tools, all in this compartment here. And I think that's basically the tour of the ambulance. And I just thought you guys would find it kind of interesting because, you know, it's not every day that you meet someone who buys an ambulance. But it is, today anyways, you're going to meet a friend of mine, Rich, who is a nurse, a registered nurse. He is a wilderness EMT. He has unbelievable training, qualifications, and certifications in the field of wilderness survival readiness, and he's going to be joining us on the channel. And here we are. Say hey, Rich.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. I probably didn't give your qualifications properly, so maybe, I mean, I know you're a registered nurse, but what beyond that, the wilderness stuff?
A nationally registered EMT, and I'm a wilderness trained EMT. I went through Solo. It's a great institution up there in North Conway, New Hampshire.
Cool, very cool.
A lot of fun.
Now, so I'm sure being an EMT, you spent plenty of time in the back of one of these things.
I actually spent more time in the back of these as a nurse. I worked in ERs, and
Oh,
I
cool.
used to transport patients.
Oh, cool.
So I spent a lot of time there. This is, for the price, it's actually remarkable. It's pretty good shape.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that we're going to have plenty of questions about how to run this or that, and we'll be calling you for that. And we look forward to having you on board doing some videos on wilderness stuff and readiness training, things like that. So, all right, thanks a lot for...
Great for a bug-out vehicle. Take your wounded with you.
Thanks, Rich. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for joining us this video. Really appreciate you taking the time to see the madness that we continually find ourselves engaging in. But if you like this video, appreciate giving us a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, that's fine too. Just give us a thumbs down. I want to know if you want to see more of these wild adventures here, or if you want to see less. But if you haven't hit the subscribe button, now is the time. Hit the subscribe button. Share us on Facebook. Tell your friends. We'd really love to have you on board and join the adventure. And we got some really, really big news. I'm not ready to announce it yet because, well, I'm not even going to say anymore, because if I do, it might give it away. But I got some really good news, some really big news, and it's big for the channel, it's big for our family, and it's big for all you guys who are interested in moving somewhat in the direction that we're moving in. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you on the next video. All right, thanks.